Have you ever noticed that some men who recently started on TRT but were sedentary in the past decided out of the blue, it seems, to start weight training or even bodybuilding? What's this newfound motivation all about, and is there a link between testosterone and the desire to build muscle? Also, why are some men measuring their TRT results based on their perceived progress in the gym? This can't be a good metric to measure success, or is it? We're going to find out after this, so keep watching. Hi, I'm Mike with Balance by Hormones, where we support men and women on their journey to optimal hormone balance. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button and the notification bell so you don't miss any new content. So welcome back. I speak to a lot of men about their progress on TRT after starting. I may ask them how they're getting on with their treatment, and many men will tell me that they've had the best erections or libido in their entire life, but then they'll also mention that they've noticed improvements in the gym. Or some even say they've thought about or have taken up recently some sort of exercise regime. In fact, some have described either their satisfaction with TRT as either brilliant because of the newfound muscle gains or lean mass, or disappointing because they haven't seen progress on a bench press. But should we really be looking at TRT progress in terms of how much stronger or leaner or more muscular you are at the gym? Let us know in the comments below if you're one of those men who judge their TRT success based on muscle mass or strength gains made at the gym. Or maybe you've decided to take up resistance training shortly after starting your TRT journey. Please leave those in the comments as well. So today we'll discuss the impact of TRT on muscle mass and the psychosocial aspects of TRT and its perceived link with motivating previously sedentary men to take up exercise and weight training. So we're here today with Dr. George Touliatos, an expert in TRT and the EU Medical Director for Balance by Hormones in Europe. Dr. T has competed in bodybuilding contests as well as being a medic. Hi George, how are you today?
Hello, fine. I'm great. So this topic is really fascinating because I have to tell you that I come from bodybuilding. Of course, after I quit my athletic career, I faced the inevitable anabolic steroid use hypergonadism. So the majority, the 99 or 100% of retired competitive bodybuilders who were abusing on and off in steroids for quite some decades, they face, of course, afterwards the secondary late onset hypergonadism. Now, these people, these candidates, and these people that enter the replacement therapy have of course, into their blood the physical culture and the physical activity by the lifting and by bodybuilding. And I have to admit that those people that complain of fatigue, of being waking up tired, of low sex drive, or getting tired, generally, there are people who mainly enter the gym and follow physical program, exercise. They exercise on a regular basis, and those people are complaining that they have low testosterone. Unlike sedentary people that they never lifted, never attended a sport, and they could only perhaps complain of foggy mind, perhaps some low energy, but low sex drive, but not tiredness and fatigue in the physical stamina, and endurance and muscle strength, or body fat composition, because we know that people that lift are fascinated about the way they look. They want to be muscular and lean. So when you hit the andropause, you have this flabby midsection, and then the limbs and the arms and the legs and the chest become skinny, So it's more likely for somebody that has followed a training lifestyle for quite some time to complain of low testosterone, unlike somebody else who was just working in the office.
Could the reason that some men decide to take up weight training after starting TRT is maybe this is due to this newfound energy and stamina and confidence? Is this a positive thing linked to good health, George, or is it derived from vanity? What do you think?
When you are of low testosterone, you lack of motivation, you lack of dopamine, you lack of serotonin, your neurotransmitters suck, they're low. You don't have this determination, this self-esteem. So you don't want to go to the gym. And basically, if you're depressed, you don't want to stand up from the bed, So the last thing you want to do is lifting. And this is explained by low testosterone, by poor chemistry of the brain. So it's really impressive when somebody comes to my office and complains a lot of testosterone. After 1 month, when the levels are eugonadal towards to the highest range, they feel so energetic and they get their life back, not just by having sex, but by lifting, by waking up in a good mood, by having a better body composition, more clear thoughts, sharp mind, cognitive function. So this is very reasonable and rational out of the eugonadal transformation from hypogonadic to eugonadic. Okay, and we know, of course, that testosterone plays a major role how to improve muscle mass by positive nitrogen balance, protein synthesis, out of eating protein, of course. And also it works as all the steroids by aldosterone that retains sodium and water, that brings intramuscular water, so retain of water into the sarcoplasm. And of course, improves strength, but also stamina because hemoglobin elevates, myoglobin also elevates. That brings more oxygen to the skeletal muscles.
So, from a psychological point of view, is it important as a clinician to try to separate the two, or as far as saying, look, muscle or weight training and muscle are obviously important for reducing, like you said, insulin resistance, but don't necessarily be obsessed with the weight training either. To find a good balance, or is it relatively harmless to focus on the weight training after you start a good TRT regimen?
It sounds really reasonable, and rational. And actually, by building muscle tissue, you burn more glucose, you lower the glycemia, you improve the insulin sensitivity, you oxidize visceral fat that reverses insulin resistance. Then insulin resistance improvement of insulin sensitivity improves dyslipidemia. So it's a circle. You fight diabetes, you fight obesity, and you fight metabolic syndrome. All right?
Do you feel like some of your colleagues in the traditional medical community, whether it be in Greece or the rest of Europe, do they see TRT and improvements in muscle mass as a positive thing for health and the quality of life as you do? Or are we still fighting the battles of 20 years ago where the medical community would look at testosterone therapy and weight training in this negative light and try to demonize both as not the ideal thing for health?
No, actually, as we progress, they lighten up and they know that cardiovascular activity, of course, is necessary, but it's not. It's a 50% of physical health. So you need, as you age, muscles in order not only to improve insulin sensitivity, but fight osteopenia, osteoporosis. As muscles strengthen, they strengthen the bones also that are attached to them. And of course, locomotion, the locomotion system that improves neuromuscular conjunction. The elderly people are more fragile, and what's important to them is to be able to take care of themselves to the restroom, and not be able to, being able to take the stairs, not fall down, and because they have osteopenia, So, along with cardiovascular activity that protects the heart, of course, in the between 40s and 50s, then you also need the resistance training that has not only effects in the bones, in the muscles, but also in the metabolic system through the diabetes, and the metabolic syndrome.
So some men in the past may have abused anabolic steroids, and because of this have severely damaged their ability to make adequate testosterone on their own. They may need TRT for life. How do you manage those patients' expectations around symptom improvements when they may be more focused on their muscle gains as a metric for success, a metric for improvements from TRT?
Well, absolutely. When somebody enters the replacement therapy, I'm telling them, of course, they used to be steroid users. I'm telling them by using testosterone regularly, 52 months in a year, 52 weeks in a year, eventually you're not going to miss steroids. Your body composition will improve, but mostly you're going to be healthy in labs, physically and mentally. So you're not going to need any more of the steroids. You're not going to miss being jacked. That, of course, messes up with your hormonal system, your labs, with your biochemical factors, with your CBC. And this is about replacement therapy. It's about optimization in health. Now, of course, myself also, I improved my body composition pre-TRT and post-TRT because I was severely hypogonadal with 150 total testosterone when I was 40, and I had to start replacement therapy. And afterwards, in 5 or 6 years now that I'm following replacement therapy, even though my body weight hasn't changed dramatically, my body composition has improved. So these 200 milligrams per week of testosterone are fair enough in the long term to make you look and feel better, healthy mostly, okay, and be decent. Of course, I'm not going to have the six-pack that I used to have when I was stacking different steroids, but I look good dressed, and I'm satisfied with myself as I age.
How does one reconcile going from a washout after they do their cycle to getting recovered either on TRT if they've damaged their testes? I think one of the questions I was going towards is usually you'll get these middle-aged guys that never touched anabolic steroids ever, but they yet had this interest in the gym for all these years, and they were still doing everything they could. They were doing the CrossFit and these other things, but could never really seem to get anywhere. They were knackered after the weight training sessions. Now testosterone gave them a new lease on life, and they're going through the same regime they did before, but they're noticing increase in muscle mass as a result of,
Yes, it happens. I had two family men that were not into gyms, but they found out they were hypogonadal, so they entered the use of testosterone replacement therapy, and afterwards they start being interested about physical activity, not become really fanatics, but they discover that they like to lift or follow a sport, and look more muscular and more lean and leaner, So perhaps yes, also they start being more accompanied with more friendly to the lifestyle of the physical activity.
What about body dysmorphia? Does the use of testosterone and the increase in muscle mass and the focus on getting a muscular, is there some link with body dysmorphia, or could you think that the testosterone, that when it's balanced and healthy, is going to kind of wash over that, and as just a general result of doing a normal activity of weight training, you're going to get a good result, but you're not going to be obsessed on it? I mean, how does that play into the...
I don't believe necessarily that replacement therapy will lead you to body dysmorphia. This is something that only bodybuilders that were starting on different steroids follow, because they follow the competitive lifestyle and more is better. I want to be the biggest and the leanest and the meanest, and the strongest. But of course, optimization of testosterone is about health, and 200 milligrams will not make you look like a Hulk, So I don't think you're going to go to the body dysmorphia. Of course, you're going to have a higher self-esteem and a respect of yourself, but it's up to there because there is a limit to the replacement therapy. It is not about, you cannot go over there, not surpass the 200 milligrams, let's say, because 250 milligrams will give you some side effects, and then perhaps some erythrocytosis, some gyno, some acne, some hair thinning, whatever that is, but certainly it's over the limit. So I don't think there is a link between replacement therapy and body dysmorphia, but somebody who had body dysmorphia in bodybuilding could avoid and rid of this by the replacement therapy.
So they'll feel more comfortable and more confident, which is what we hear in all walks of life, whether you're managing director or CEO of a company who was faltering before, couldn't have clear thoughts. They feel they're more confident in their job, as well as if your sport is weight training and exercise or bodybuilding even, you'll feel more confident in who you are and in your own skin. So I guess what you're saying is it matters where your levels are at trough, or when you measure those testosterone levels, where they're ending up.
Total testosterone, the course. If you have a super high 6BG, it doesn't work.
Right. So essentially the way you recommend TRT is tailoring it towards the person's biochemistry, towards their SHBG levels.
If you had a speedy metabolism, you have a BM, if you are, for instance, 6'2", 6'3", and you are 250, you can metabolize much easier than 200 milligrams rather than a guy who is 5'5", 150 pounds, So it's subjective also. And one size doesn't fit all, of course.
So I guess just to summarize it, then, yes, men who start TRT get a new lease on life. These men have a desire maybe to start weight training because it's something they didn't have the energy before, but they do now that they're on TRT and they're balanced, and that's okay. And that we know that TRT isn't going to necessarily induce a body dysmorphia if one wasn't there already. So essentially, TRT and exercise and weight training is a good and positive outcome for one's health, and that there shouldn't be any negative social pressure or stigma attached to that testosterone and exercise.
A whole pack of a healthy lifestyle with physical activity, proper diet, lifestyle, hormonal balance. So what else you need?
All right, well, thanks Dr. George. And that is our topic on TRT and starting exercise and weight training. Should you do it? Can you do it? I think we answer those questions here. And again, if you like the content in these videos, do subscribe to the channel and we'll have more like this. And please do leave your comments. So like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.